Okay, shall we start? Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum Sashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannabadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vigno Pashantaye Dorbiryukta Chaturbir Spatikamanimayi Makshamalam Dadhana Haste Naikena Padmam Sitamapicha Shukam Pustakam Chaparena Bhasa Kunde Dushankas Patikamaninipa Bhasamana Samana Same Vagdevateyam Nivasatu Vadane Sarvada Suprasanna Kujantam Ramarameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakam Vande Valmiki Kokilam Valmikir Munisimhasya Kavita Vanacharinaha Shrinvan Rama Katanadam Konayati Param Gatim Goshpati Kritavarashim Mashaki Kritarakshasam Ramayana Mahamala Ratnam Vande Nilatmajam Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Kritamastakāñjalim Bāshpavari Paripurnalochanam Marutim Namata Rakshasantakam Dehi Sahitam Suradrumatale Haime Mahamandape Madhye Pushpakamasane Manimaye Virasane Sustitam Agre Vachayati Prapanjana Sute Tattvam Munibhya Param Vyakyantam Bharatadibi Parivritam Ramam Vaje Shyamalam Namostu Ramaya Salakshmanaya Devyai Chatasyai Janakatmajayai Namostu Rudrendra Yamanilebhyaha Namostu Chandrarka Marudganebhyaha Hri Om. Okay, so we are towards more or less the end of Balakandam. Of the 78 Sargas that we have in Balakandam, what you find is 1/3 of it, which is 26 Sargas, is just on only two things. Ganga Avatarana Mahatmyam is 11 Sargas. We saw that 35 to 45. Then this Vishwamitra Mahatmyam is what we are going through now. That is another 15 Sargas. So 1/3 of Balakandam is just 2 episodes. And that speaks volumes about why these two are important. We saw the speciality of Ganga Avataranam. One full day we actually saw that, in addition to the normal shlokas and so on. So at the moment we are seeing Mahatmyam of Vishwamitra. Now, if you look at these, we may be wondering why there are a lot of such stories. In fact, Mahabharata has 10 times stories than Ramayana, and Puranas have. Upakyanas are very, very essential component of Puranas and Itihasas. The main, Khyati is there, but there are Upakyanas. The sub-stories are plenty. So the point is, why do we need these kinds of stories? I think as we see, we are realizing it. The most important thing is actually these are stories which talk about how people handled some of the situations and challenges in their life. That is the crux of these stories. I mean, at one level, we can see it like a story. There is which is very amenable for a TV serial and all that. But I think the sukshma is that there is something that people have gone through. And there is a tatparya, there is a message, there is a reason why such stories are to be told. So this Vishwamitra story, it is not the story of Vishwamitra, it is the story of a beautiful transformation of a king called Kaushika into a great Brahma Rishi called Vishwamitra. That is the story. And as we have already seen, what has happened to him? These 10 Sargas that we have seen so far has really shown where did he start and what is the journey that he has been going through. I have been in the last few classes showing here and there what is really happening to this Kaushika in his journey to become Vishwamitra. So last class we stopped at a very interesting point. This Shunashepa was offered himself. When Ambarisha said the sacrificial horse was not to be found, what do we do? So the Ritvik said without sacrificial horse, without completing the sacrifice, the effects are very bad. So then he goes in search, and finally he was told, you can even give a Narabali. That's why he meets that Shunashepa's father. And father says, the eldest son is required for me. Mother says, the youngest son is required for me. So Shunashepa on his own offered. He said, given the context, I am offering myself for the sacrifice. So Ambarisha takes him. That's where we stopped last time. So we have, today we will finish this Vishwamitra Mahatmyam. There are 4 more Sargas. We will see those 4 Sargas. And also I wanted to spend a little time, what do we learn from Vishwamitra's story? Because we have been seeing the story. What is it that this whole transformation of Kaushika and Vishwamitra is supposed to actually inform us? From what we have seen, I am confining only to the Ramayana. And from what we have seen, I want to spend a little time sharing those thoughts also. So we have 62nd Sarga. There are 28 verses. So as I told, Shunashepa goes with Ambarish. So he is going to be offered into the sacrifice. That's where we stopped. So this Sarga follows. On the way, Shunashepa meets Vishwamitra. Ambarisha and Shunashepa come by the Vishwamitra. So first 7 Sargas describe that, and Shunashepa is very low in his morale. Because he is going to be sacrificed. Although he offered himself voluntarily, still there is that feeling. So he is feeling very low. So he pleads to Vishwamitra, please protect me. He says, I am an anatha. Anatasya tratumarhasi. That's what the shloka is, we will see. You are anatha, I am an anatha, please save me, like that he says. And Vishwamitra calls his sons and said, you offer yourself in lieu of Shunashepa and we will save him. And the sons disobey. They don't agree to Vishwamitra's order. So as usual, Kaushika gives his next bout of curses on the sons of his own sons. So you have that, verses 13 to 18. Then 19 to 24, since the sons are not offering, so Vishwamitra teaches 2 gatis, hymns to Shunashepa. Say, it will protect you. Don't worry. You go. Now that my sons have disobeyed, you have to go, you go. But this Rigvedic hymns will actually save you. So he teaches them. It does happen that way. When he was to be offered in the sacrifice, he recites these hymns, and Indra and Agni are very happy and all that. There's a happy ending of that story. So that's what this particular... So let us look at a few shlokas. So it says, Name stimata na pita jnatayo bandava kutah tratu marhasi mam saumya dharmena munipungava. So first he says, this is Shunashepa saying to Vishwamitra. He meets Vishwamitra. He says, Name asti mata na pita. Because, both of them implicitly, not explicitly, both of them have implicitly sort of disowned him. Because the father said, I want eldest son. The mother said, I want youngest son. So it is an implicit understanding. So, name asti mata na pita, nyatayaha, friends, bandavaha, relatives, kutaha, from where? I have, he is feeling low. Basically, these statements come when you feel low. So, Shunashepa is feeling very low. So, tratum arhasi mam saumya, dharmena munipungava, dharmena tratum arhasi. Hey, munipungava. He is addressing Vishwamitra. He says, oh, the greatest of the Munis, you are purely out of your dharma, you should be able to protect me. Please protect me. So that is what Shunashepa is asking Vishwamitra when he happened to meet him on the way. Tvamme nato hyanatasya bhavabhavyena chetasa piteva putram dharmatmam stratum arhasi kilbishat. So that's what he says. He says, Tvam me nataha. You are my nata now. Because my parents have just let me off. So I have also voluntarily agreed to be offered as a sacrificial, pashu. So, anatasya me, he anatasya se hyanatasya. Anatasya me, tvam bhavyena chetasa nataha bhava. That is the first line. I am an anatha. You, out of your greatness and your frame of mind, you can be my nata. That's what he says. Piteva putram dharmatmam tratum arhasi dharmatman. Actually, this is in sandhi. So nakara is there and followed by takara. Then the nakara becomes makara, and there is a sakara in between. This is a sandhi. So it is not dharmatmam, it is dharmatman. Piteva putram dharmatman tratum arhasi kilbishat. That is the padacheda there. It is in sandhi actually. This is a padacheda. You will find it. Ye tamam prabatyante tam stataiva bhajamiham. That is not tam, it is tan. In Bhagavad Gita, you have this shloka. Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamiham. The makara comes there. The nakara becomes makara. It's a very frequent sandhi. Sometimes people misunderstand it. That's why I am emphasizing this. Hey Dharmatman. So that is actually Sambodhana. Hey Dharmatman. Piteva putram tratum arhasi kilbishat. Just like a father protects a son, you protect me. Because I am in peril now from this kilbishat tratum arhasi. So this is the request of Shunashepa to Vishwamitra that please protect me. That's what he is saying in these two shlokas. Sarve sukrita karmanaha, sarve dharma parayanaha, pashubhutaha narendrasya, triptim agne prayachata. This is the adesha that Vishwamitra gives to his sons. So what is he saying? Sarve, pavantaha sarve. Okay? Sukrita karmanaha. You have been doing good act. You have been following dharma, you have been doing good act. Sukrita karmanaha. Sarve dharma parayanaha. Dharma eva parayanam iti chintitavanta. You have taken ultimate refuge in dharma, which means you will follow dharma at any cost. Sarve dharma parayanaha. Pashubhutaha. Narendrasya, Naranam Indra, who is this, our Ambarish. This Lord of the King has come. He has to finish his sacrifice. So, why don't you become Pashubhutaha? You become the sacrificial Pashu. Pashubhutaha and Triptim Agnim Prayachata. See, in sacrifice, in our Vedic lore, in the Vedic times, that's why the first mantra in Rigveda is Agnim Ile Purohitam. Agnimi Ile Purohitam. Yagyasya Deva Hutrujam Hota Armratna Dhatamam. First mantra of Rigveda, what does it say? Agnim Ile. Let me worship Agni. Agni is the Purohit, Agni is the Datara, Agni is the Ritvik, Agni is the receiver. See, in Vedic times, Agni is the conduit of everything. Pratyaksha Devata is Agni. That is why that altar is made, that sacrifice is given there, because the Pratyaksha Devata is Agni. Agni is the receiver. He is the front end of the courier. if you have to use today's terminology, he is the boy who receives that courier from our house and then deliver it elsewhere. Both are Agni. That's why Agnim, Triptim Agni Prayachata. If you only satisfy Agni, Agni in turn will deliver it to whoever is the Ishta Devata for which the the particular sacrifice is done. That's why he says Triptim Agnehi Prayachata. So Vishwamitra says to his sons, you all become sacrificial Pashu, and let us relieve the Shunashepa from this whole thing. That's what it says. Then the sons disagree. That's 3 shlokas later it comes. Katam Atmasutan Hitva Trayase Anyasutam Vibho Akaryam Iva Pashyama Shwamamsa Iva Bhojane. So the sons are saying, how are you doing this? How is it possible to do this? Katam Atma Sutan Hitva, by destroying one's own children. Atma Sutaha, one who is born for oneself. Hitva Trayasya Anya Sutam. You want to protect some other person by sacrificing your own, some other child by sacrificing your own children. So that is what the sons were. So the answer to that, Sridhar, is the previous, that shloka. It says, Sarve dharma parayanaha, sarve krita, sukrita karmanaha. No, if you are such a steadfast follower of dharma, this kind of a thought would have never come in the first place. The Rishi is his Guru, Rishi is his Pita. So he has the double qualification there. He is Pita and the Guru. Whatever he says, today these things are very alien to us. We have a lot of respect to our father, but we don't listen to our father when the going is not up to our. That is being exhibited here. That is not Dharma Prayana. That is not Sarve Sukrita Karmana. Whereas if you look at Yayati's story, what happened in the Yayati story? One son, that is the real thing, no? The father will say only for my good being. That must be a faith, not as a concept. Faith is not a concept. Faith is a way we have to live. So when father says, the first thing I should think is father must have thought 1,000 times before making that sin. Today we don't think like that. Sometimes some of these ideas are little alien to us. So that may be the reason. It looks very strange to us. But then, that means you are in some level, you are saying, of course, I have a lot of respect for my father, as long as my father is saying something which is very convenient.
We also have 2 disobedient great sons, one Rama and one Prahlada. They disobeyed their fathers.
How did Rama disobey his father?
Sarga said not to go to, don't listen, don't worry about it.
No. That you need to, analyze it in a much larger. That was only one part of the conversation. No, it is one part of the conversation. The larger conversation.
Clearly disobeyed from the beginning.
No, Tigers in match. Okay, we'll talk about suffering.
No, Prahlada we can discuss.
Yes.
Actually, we can discuss. Prahlada's disobeyal of Hiranyakashipu is exactly like the deserting of Ravana by Vibhishana.
Yeah.
Because the father is not worthy. There are other ways of actually interpreting that also. Anyway, we will. Yeah. Anyway, so Akaryam Iva Pashyama, this looks like an inappropriate act. And many of the earlier references, these Shwamamsa or Shwapaga is a very common reference. Actually. Vidya Vinaya Sampanya, Brahmane, Shoni Sascha, Shwapakascha. In fact, Adi Shankaracharya, when he wrote his Devi Aparadha Kshamapana Stotra, he says, Shwapako, Jalpako, Bhavati, Madhupako, Pamagira. So this word is a very common usage word. It is more to indicate, it is generally associated with inappropriate things or things which we generally consider not correct or inappropriate. You should not read as eating the mamsa of the dog. I mean, translations are like that. I have taken it from IIT Kanpur. But what I am saying is we have to understand it in a larger sense. It only means as an inappropriate act of doing. This is a typical usage. You will find it in many of the earlier references like this.
Did they explain why Vishwamitra asked his sons to sacrifice?
Huh?
They explain like why
No,
from
it's
Vishwamitra's time.
no, it's not there. So now Vishwamitra's curse also is always this dog-eating curse only. So how did same thing he did for Vasishta's son also, if you remember a few sargas before. So look at this shloka. It says, Shwamamsa bojina sarve vasishta iva jatishu purnam varsha sahasram tu prithvyam anuvatsyata. So immediately Vishwamitra, not Vishwamitra, it is Kaushika. Kaushika cursed. So what did he curse? He say, Shwamamsa bojina sarve. Again, if you should, although I have just, translated literally, what it actually means is, I was just reading, because I also got a little curious. Why is this reference coming again and again? See, what it really indicates is at that time, there was a set of people who were eating Shwamamsa, and they were very underdeveloped, unevolved. So we should not, literal meaning of this we should not take.
Even now in Nagaland, I had a tenure there. They regularly eat dog meat. And they rear dogs to eat meat. Even today.
Portion of them. So it is a reference at that time for to only, what is Vishwamitra saying? All your, in the previous shloka, all that I said are vyartha. Sukrita karmana sarve dharma parayana has become wrong. That means now in the snake and ladder game, you take a snake and come down. That's all he is saying. We have to understand only that much from this, not the literal meaning of it.
Shwamamsa means not eating our own meat.
No, shwa, not swa, shwa. It's not swa. That's why you should say I am a swapaki, not shwapaki. Swapaki means I cook myself and eat. So you have to be very careful about this pronunciation in Sanskrit. Swapako, jalpako, bhavati. Madhupako. That he says, I am elevating this person. Again, the Swapako should not be literally taken as somebody who is cooking. It means a person who is less evolved. Chandala, I will raise him to such a higher level is the meaning that we need to really take. So he says, Vasishta iva. I gave the same curse to Vasishtasya apatyam Vasishtaha. For them also I gave the same curse, and giving you that curse only. That Purnam Varsha Sahasram tu, 1000 years you be like that. Prithvyam Anuvasyata, you loiter here and there like this. For 1000 years, that kind of a curse that he gave to his sons. Ime tu gate, then he tells Shunashepa that I will now teach you 2 gathas, 2 hymns I will teach you, that will protect you. So that's what Vishwamitra did finally to Shunashepa. Ime tu gate dve divye Gayeta Muniputraka Ambarishasya Yagne Asmin Tata Siddhim Avapsyasi. Tataha Siddhim Avapsyasi. He says, I will teach you 2 gathas I will teach you. This will protect you from now you go. Now you are given your word and so you have to go. You go, but you will be protected with these 2 mantras. So he gave those 2 mantras to Shunashepa and said, you go. So that's what. So that is all. So the Shunashepa story comes to an end there. After that, the last 6 shlokas where the sacrifice was done as the Shunashepa was about to be sacrificed and all that story. Next comes this journey of Kaushika. If you remember one of the earlier sargas, he was given Rishi, Raja Rishi. He was given Raja Rishi. Now, in this particular sarga, the story goes on. First 3 sargas, because after that he does 1000 years of penance. Last 3 shlokas in the previous sarga has all that. Now, in the first 3 shlokas, Brahma appears again to Vishwamitra and says, you are a rishi, right? And 4 to 10, Vishwamitra meets Menaka and lives with her for 10 years. Vishwamitra again leaves Menaka, performs 1000 more years of tapas, rigorous tapas, okay, in next 5 shlokas. And then next 5 shlokas, he is conferred Maharshi. And there are some interesting 1 or 2 shlokas I pulled. I'm not going to go through this story. Everybody knows this story. I'm only taking a few shlokas of interest. Then he does again 1,000 years of tapas. Slowly, his tapas, there is a separate table, finally I will show you, because there are so many 1,000 years. I have kept track of all those 1,000 years somewhere. We will see it. But what was happening is this Vyakti called Kaushika was put to a great deal of testing in multiple ways. That is the story actually. That the Vyakti has to evolve, that Vyaktitva Vikasa has to happen. So all these are like a drama. You know, in a drama, you stage 1, stage 2, stage, they all come play the drama and go. They neither need to be reformed, nor there is a reality of that. You know, Puranic stories and Itihasas are just dramas. So you can't, look at a villain in a drama and say, this fellow is the worst fellow in life. He may be actually the very honest and a very nice person. Just in a drama, he is playing a role given to him. Or because somebody played a role of a buffoon, he is not a very humorous person. He may be actually a very serious person in his life. So we don't have to mix these two. So these are all stories intended for a certain amount of reflection and so on. So we look at a few shlokas from this Sarga, where what is happening to this Vishwamitra as he went through these, things. Ahoratrapadeshena gata samvatsara dasha kama mohabhibhutasya vignoyam samupastitaha. After spending about 10 years with Menaka, then he realized just like that this 10 years is gone. Ahoratra apadeshena. Just like that, like day and night has passed by. Gataha samvatsaraha dasha samvatsaraha. 10 years has just like that passed by. Which means his woe with which he came after he left, Vasishta's hermitage is temporarily parked now. That's what he is realizing now. Right? Kama moha abhibhutasya vignaha ayam samupastitaha. See, this is the self-reflection Kaushika went through. He was subject to all these tests. He was failing, but out of the failure, there was a reflection which was happening, which took him to the next level of his intensifying his tapas. That is the message. So he says, this 10 years I have wasted. I have just got myself sucked into this kama and moha. I have wasted all my effort. That is his sense of this reflection that is happening to him. And so that's what this shloka is saying. So he bids goodbye to Menaka and then moves to Uttaradishi. He moves a little northward into the mountain and so on. That's what the next two shlokas are. Sakritva naishtiki buddhim jetukamo mahayashaha kaushiki thiramasadya tapaha tepe sudharunam. So what did he do? Naishtikim buddhim kritva. Naishtiki is actually Taddita, Nishta. One who is with Nishta is called Naishtiki. So Naishtika Brahmachari we say. Nishta means Ekagrata, single focus. I don't want to get distracted with so many things. That is called a Nishta. You say Brahmanishta. Brahmanishta is one who is singularly focused only in Brahma, the thought of Brahma. So the Nishta, one who is Nishta is Naishtiki. So Naishtikim Buddhim. The Buddhi is now qualified as Naishtikim, which means his Buddhi became less wavering now. He said, no, this is not what I was supposed to be doing. I have wasted my time. So Naishtikim Buddhim Kritva, having taken a vow this time, right? And what is that? Jetukamaha, right? He wanted to control his senses. Jetukamaha mahayashaha. What did he do? He went to Kaushiki Thiram. He went to the banks of the river Kaushiki. He went to the banks of the river Kaushiki. Tapaha tepe sudharunam. Right? A lot of steadfastness and so on. Dridhataya. He went to the next level of his, trying to find out who he is for himself. So that's what he did. He left Menaka and then went 1,000 years again. So after some time, Brahma comes again. Maharshe swagatam vatsa tapasogrena toshitaha mahatvam rishi mukhyatvam dadami tava kaushika. So Brahma comes and says, Dadami, Tava Dadami, for you I grant. Hey Kaushika, Tava Dadami. And what is that? Mahatva Rishi Mukhyatvam. This importance of Mahatva, Mahanscha Asau Rishischa Maharshi. Is Rishi, the Rishi of the highest, of much greater, this thing. So Mahatva Rishi Mukhyatvam Dadami. I give you that, even in our day-to-day things, you become an associate member of Charter Convent, then you become a fellow member of Charter Convent. You have these higher levels. The same way, he is being granted Maharshi. So, in fact, he says Maharshe Swagatam. We have a practice when there is a PhD Viva. At the end of the Viva, we say, congratulations, Dr. So-and-so. So this student is now relaxed. Everything is fine. It's a nice practice. Brahma is doing that. He says, Maharshe Swagatam. Before giving the title, he called him Maharshi, please come. So that is the way it is actually communicating. Maharshe Swagatam Vatsa. Tapasa Ugrena Toshitaha. You have done such a, intense tapas that you have done. I am very satisfied with that. So I give you that very important position of, Mukhyatva. Mahatva Rishi Mukhyatva. So that's what Brahma says. Look at what is his reply. That is a very interesting part. Look at his reply. He says, Brahmanasya vachashutva sarvalokeshwarasya cha na vishannaha na santushtaha Vishwamitra tapodanaha. He has reached the next level. This is the first indication in all these stories of Vishwamitra. First time we have reached a situation where we are seeing signs of what you may call it as, Samatva Bhava. He is neither happy nor unhappy. Right? That's what it is. That Samatva Bhava, first time it is being, Valmiki brings here. He says, Brahmanasya, Brahmanaha, Saha Vishwamitraha, Brahmanaha, that Saha will go to Tapodanaha, this is Vishwamitraha. Brahmanaha Vachashutva, having heard what Brahman said, which is what the previous shloka is, Sarvalokeshwarasya Brahmanaha Vachashutva, these are all his adjectives. Na Vishannaha, Na Santushtaha. He neither showed, in fact, he showed no expression of happiness or sadness. None of those. Whereas first time when he was told, he said, no, I am not happy. Valmiki says he was hanging his head down. That was the shloka, if you remember. Now you see a certain evolution in this character called Kaushika. Titiksha has come now. Little bit of Titiksha has come now. Because there is beyond the world of Dvandva, beyond the world of duality. We are struggling only in this. If somebody has passed this, we have crossed we have made phenomenal journey in our self-evolution, which is transcending the world of duality. Na vishannaha, na santushtaha. He is beyond, he is dvandvatita bhavaha. So that is what first time Valmiki is bringing that characterization of Kaushika, which is the Vishwamitra in the making. So that's what is coming through this shloka. Vishwamitraha tapodanaha. Then Vishwamitra made another interesting statement for which Brahma gave an interesting reply. These are all very, very important. The story is not important. These shlokas are important. Look at what is happening. Maharshi Shabdam Atulam Swarjitaihi Karmabhi Shubhaihi Yedime Bhagavanaha Tatoham Vijitendriyaha. Vishwamitra is self-certifying himself. How? He is saying, Atulam Maharshi Sabdam. This Maharshi is not a very normal thing. It is Atulam. It is unequal to anything. So, Atulam Maharshi Sabdam Swarjitaihi Karmabhi Shubhaihi. I have strived hard. So many thousand years I have strived hard. And I have got this. So, there is still that material still available which had to be cleaned up. That's why another few thousand years of tapas is going to happen. That is what Valmiki is beautifully bringing by this shloka. While he has titiksha, but the ahankara has not gone. Ahankara is popping up very well. He says, my effort, I have put enormous effort and then done here. Yedi me Bhagavan aha, Tvam Bhagavan, you have called me Maharshi. You have certified me by calling Maharshi. That means I am Vijitendriya. He is self-certifying. He is not asking Brahman. He is saying, May Vijitendriya. That means I have conquered all my senses. This is Vishwamitra's own statement about his state, what he is, to Brahman, to Brahma, when he was in front of him. Look at what is his reply for that. The next shloka gives his reply, Brahma's reply to Vishwamitra. So what does it say? It says, Tam uvacha. To him he told, Tato Brahma, na tavattam jitendriya. No. I think you are going too fast. Tavattam jitendriya. Yatasva muni shardula ityuktva tridivam gataha. So Brahman simply said, no. You are a great Muni. I have no problem. Muni shardula. That adjectives are all in place. Hey, Muni shardula, I am very happy, but you have not conquered your senses yet. Right? Yatasva, strive even more. That means there is some more story which are going to unfold. Ramba is going to come. Only Menaka has come. That's what it is. Anyway, that's the story part, but I think the most important part is, we will see it at the end of it. I want a little bit talk about what can we learn from this Kaushika story. But see, he self-certifies himself and he says, no. You are a Muni and all that is fine, but you are not at a Jitendriya. You have not conquered your Indriyas yet. So that is what Brahma said, and said, Yatasva, strive even more. You are work in progress. You are still work in progress. So try some more. Is what Brahma replied to. Even at the time of conferring a Maharshi to him, he told him, you strive even more. You are still a work in progress. 64th Sarga, the thing follows. So after Brahma goes, Indra asks Ramba, go. Why don't you go now? Now that Menaka has gone and come, why don't you go? So he asks Ramba to go, and Ramba says, no. This man is a very dangerous person. I don't want to go. So then Indra says, no, don't worry. I will protect you. It's not like that. You must go and all that. So Ramba comes. That's what the first 7 shlokas are. And 1 minute. Somebody has... Unmute, then it gets into... Okay. So Vishwamitra, she comes, and then Vishwamitra is very alert this time, whereas it took 15 years for him to get alerted with Menaka. Now, tasmineva kshane tasya buddhihi spurita abhavat. Immediately, his buddhi popped up, but then his ahankara and all those are still there, so he cursed. He cursed her. He cursed Ramba to be a rock for 10,000 years. Okay? 10,000 years, he cursed her. And then Vishwamitra again, immediately he felt, I should not have... Earlier, he never felt sorry for cursing. Now he felt sorry even for cursing. Immediately he felt, what have I done? So he intensifies his tapas. How did he intensify? He intensifies his tapas in 2 ways. 1,000 years of tapas with silence, without food. 1,000 years of tapas without food and without inhaling. That's how he intensified his tapas. In other words,
is it practical? Those ways. Yes.
No, I will come to it. I will answer that. Definitely I will answer that. Because this is a question I have repeatedly talked about it, so I will come to it, sir. I will justify it in a way which is okay with you. Then he takes this new vow in tapas. As I told you, 1,000 years of tapas with silence, 1,000 years of tapas without inhaling and eating food. That's what the Ramayana shlokas say. Another 1,000 years with complete silence and so on. So we look at a few shlokas. Yanmam lobayase rambe kama krodha jayaishinam Dashavarsha Sahasrani Shaili Stasyasi Durbage. So this is a curse he gave. Hey Durbage, what did you do? Mam Lobayase. Yat Mam Lobayase. You have come to just distract me, and then you are showing your Lobi Bhava unto me. Mam lobayase, hey Rambe. And who am I? Kama Krodha Jayeshinam. I am in the process of overcoming my Kama and Krodha. Immediately Krodha came. That's a different story. But I have been striving hard. Please understand, we have to strive hard for these two things. I mean, this is all, we are laughing 1,000 and all that. I'll come to it. I think those are actually irrelevant piece of information in this story. I'll come to it a little later. This is the crux of the issue. He says, Kama Krodha Jayeshinam. That is the message, loaded message there. Kama Krodha Jayeshinam Mam Lobayase. Dasa Varsha Sahasrani Shaili Stasyasi. You become like a Shila, a rock. Which is rock. Again, all these ancient Indian wisdom, you have to be very careful in reading. My own reading is, she will not become a rock. You know what he is saying? What is the property of rock? The property of rock is expressionless. Rock cannot express. There is no chit, there is only jada there. See, the difference between a log of wood and water is when the water is heated up, it will only show heat. It will show warmth. The heat will be in the form of warmth. If you take a tungsten filament and then heat it up, it will also show light. This is jada and chit. There is only jada. This is an example given in some of the arguments in Sankara Bhashya and so on. Your water, when you heat it, will only become warm. It will show one property called heat. Whereas a metal or a wood, if you heat it, it will show two properties, heat and light. So one is jada padartha. We are all jada and chit. A rock is only jada, but both are prakriti. Both are consciousness at different levels. Jada padartha. This is jada plus chit. So by saying Shaili Stasisi, I don't really think it is rock. I mean, in movies and it's very apt for a movie and all that. Immediately this Ramba will become a rock. Some undergrowth will happen around it after 1,000 years. All that dramatic effects we can create. I think we should never read ancient Indian wisdom like that. When you say Shaili Stasisi, that means you will become expressionless. For the act of you trying to distract somebody, you brain dead, I don't want to use a word like that. What I'm saying is you become expressionless. This is what you deserve. You are trying to distract me. So you should get in the same kind back. That is the meaning of many of these sentences actually. So that's why Shobhako, when you say Shwamamsa Paki means, it's not really that person. It points to a state of existence which you will go. That's all it is saying. You have not understood Dharma, so you go to a place where people don't know Dharma, go to that level. That is the meaning of that curse. So Shaila to me never means rock. Although translation is rock. Pada, is something called Vachyartha and Lakshyartha. We should always understand Vachyartha is only on the surface. That is why a great Sanskrit professor cannot interpret deep thoughts. He can do Padartha. He will take the Padacheda, Sandhi Vicheda, all that. So for all Pada, you can look at what is the, the root and all that we can do. Whereas Lakshyartha is different. Lakshyartha is you have to interpret and understand what is conveyed through it. So we should be worried about Lakshyartha, not Vachyartha. So Shaila will never be rock to me. It merely says you try to distract me and did something to my feelings, let you become feelingless. That's what you deserve. That's what you tried on me. That's not good. Something like that is how we need to sort of interpret this. Kopena saha mahatejaha tapo apaharane krite indriyer ajite rama nalebe shantimatmanah. See, immediate reflection is coming to him now. Earlier he was cursing, he never bothered. Now what he is saying? Saha kopena mahatejaha tapo apaharane krite. Right? This kopa, what is it doing? It is taking him away from tapas. Tapo apaharane krite. It is not making him go in that marga. It is making him go away. This kopa has only deviated him, made him defeat his own objective. Indriyehi ajitehi. He has not yet won over his indriyas. Not a jita, it is ajita. Indriyehi ajitehi nalebe shantimatmanah. He realized, I have not, what Brahma said was right. I have not conquered my indriyas. Otherwise, why did I give a curse to her? I should not have. I have given a curse to her. So that means I have still not conquered my senses. So he says, Na lebe shantim. The day it bothers you, only you will reform. If it doesn't bother you, you will never reform anything in life. Because it bothered him. Our progress is only when it makes us uncomfortable about something. When something is uncomfortable, only we will, progress, make some change. So first time Valmiki brings these attributes to Kaushika only here, after 12 Sargas, 13 Sargas. The character is molding and changing. So Nalebe Shantim Atmana, he felt which means he deeply thought about it. What Brahma said was right. I have done so many years of tapas. This simple Indriya Nigraha hasn't happened to me. If that is his situation, think about ours. Indriya Nigraha has not happened to me. He felt very strongly about it. He was very upset about this particular event that happened with Ramba that he did and so on. So next two shlokas follows. He says, Babuvasya manaschinta tapo apaharane krite naiva krodam gamishyami nacha vakshe katanchana. Now he takes a vow. Next vow he takes. He says, this is not the way. This way I am not going to go too far. So what he says, Babuva asya manha chinta. In my mind, this thought overpowered him, got stronger in him. Tapo apaharane krite naiva krodam gamishyami. Because this anger will take me out of my objective. My original objective is lost. Because this krodha has that tendency to take me out of my original objective, let me not do it. He says, Navakshe kadanchana. I will not even open my mouth. Only when I open my mouth, I have to spit out. In fact, a higher level of ahimsa is in the thinking process itself. That's the next level. Ahimsa is not just taking a stick and hitting. It is constantly thinking about how to destroy you and how to unleash violence on you. That's also ahimsa only. That's a finer level. So anyway, he said, Navakshe katanchana. Right? Atava, he says, okay, or I will do something else. Nochvasishyami samvassara shatanyapi aham visoshayishyami hyatmanam vichitendriha. Atava, otherwise, or his thought went on. He said, I will not even breathe. What talking? I will not even breathe. That's what he says. Samvasra shatanyapi. I will not. Samvasra shatanyapi. For hundreds of years, I will not even breathe. I will not even speak. Like that he says. Okay. Visoshayishyami. Atmanam visoshayishyami. Soshanam is actually control. So I will Visheshena Soshayishyami. So I will control. I will really get my Indriya Nigraha only by doing it. So let me now get this resolve more seriously and let me do that. So that's what he says here. So he took that resolve. Finally, Ramba was the last step in the journey. He finally took to the highest level of how to really get the Indriya Nigraha. Then he becomes a Brahma Rishi. That's where the story ends actually. So this is the last Sarga in the Vishwamitra Mahatmya. Starts from 51st Sarga, 15 Sargas it goes. This is the last Sarga in which the story, Satananda started this story in Janaka's court. So Satananda concludes the story here. And then Janaka, then a few shlokas are there. I just wanted to sort of bring them. Anyway, so the first 7 shlokas, he does this Ugra tapas now. Without eating, without speaking, breathing, nothing. Like that for another 1,000 years with breath suspended. That's what the shloka says. Then 8 to 17, the devas and others see that this is just going beyond limits. He has to be rewarded. Cannot go on like this, it's not a right thing to do. So they go to Brahma and say, I think we need to do something about it. So they all come. And the devas and the Indras and all of them say, I think you should grant him his wish because it's such a serious effort that thousands of years it is going on and so on, right? And then Brahma comes and says, what do you want? He says, nothing. You ask Vasishta to tell me that I am Vasishta, let him he is a assessor and certifier. So let him tell, I am Brahma Rishi, I am okay, you all can go. That's all I need. Sort of a statement he makes. And so it happens and all those. So Satananda concludes this whole story with that episode, which happened, all that is there. Then Janaka makes a few statements about what he has understood about Vishwamitra in the court from all these narrations that has happened. And then, of course, Janaka says, sir, you take rest and come tomorrow. The thing is going on. Sita Swayamvara is going to happen. That's the last. There are only 2 episodes now. Sita Swayamvara and Parashuramasya Ramayoho. That encounter. That are all the 2 things with which Balakandam actually ends, which a couple of classes we will anyway see. But we will see some of these shlokas. So, Purne Varsha Sahasretu Kashtabhutam Mahamunim Vignair Bahubiradhutam Krodo Nantara Avishat. So, Varsha Sahasre Purne, at the completion of 1000 years, Varsha Sahasre Purne tu Kashtabhutam Mahamunim. So, Kashtabhutam is again, I have actually translated, literal translation became a piece of wood. It's not piece of wood. He has become absolutely expressionless, which means nothing can affect him anymore. That is the meaning. He didn't become a piece of wood. Then you don't ask me whether it is sandalwood or this wood or that wood. Then we'll get into that trouble. These are figurative ways of explaining. It basically says he had become truly a Jitendriya. He has transcended all expressions and feelings. That's the meaning that one has to get out of it. Vignehi bahubihi adutam. So much of the story is not telling all those. So much of distractions were tried on him. Vignehi bahubihi adutam. Krodaha nantara avishat. Nothing. He passed all those tests finally. Nothing. Which means he truly became a Jitendriya. So that's what this shloka is saying. Brahmarshe swagatam testu tapasasma sutoshitaha brahmanyam tapasogrena praptavanasi Kaushika. Brahma goes and tells him to Vishwamitra, Brahmarshe swagatam. Welcome, oh Brahma Rishi. Advancedly saying, we are already granted you Brahma Rishi. Okay? Brahmarshe swagatam te astu tapasa sutoshitaha smaha. We are extremely happy with this intense self-evolution path that you have taken for so many years. We are very happy. Sutoshitaha smaha. So, vayam sarve sutoshitaha smaha. We are all very happy, is what Brahman is saying. Brahmanyam tapasogrena praptavan. You have got that ultimate Brahmanhood, that Brahmanya, not by birth certificate. You go to Namadi center, they will issue now. It's not that birth certificate Brahminism. This is a true Brahminhood. That's why in Manusmriti uses in 3 places Jati Matra Brahmanaha, Upa Brahmana, Upajati Brahmanaha. He says Jati Matra Brahmana, which most of us are today. A Jati Matra Brahmana, 1000 such Jati Matra Brahmanas, even if they get together, they cannot form a Parishad. A Parishad is the only one which can, it's like our legislature now. It can change the rule. He says even 1000. And another place Manusmriti says, a Jati Matra Brahmana is like you cannot take a wooden deer and say this is deer. That is another example he gives in another shloka. What Brahmanyam he is talking about is evolution. Jitendriyatva. Nidundva bhava. Going to that level, which is what in Bhagavad Gita also is preached in so many ways. So, Brahmanyam tapasogrena praptavanasi Kaushika. Hey Kaushika, you have finally attained that. It's so much of ekagrata, so much of self-evolution that has happened to you, all these, you have reached that, is what he says. So they ask, what do you want? Then Vishwamitra says this. What does he say? He says, Kshatra Veda Vidam Sreshtaha Brahma Veda Vidam api Brahmaputro Vasishto Mamevam Vadatu Devataha Yadyayam Paramakamaha Kuto Yantu Surarshabaha. See, what is his respect for Vasishta? He uses 2 adjectives for Vasishta. He says, Kshatra Veda Vidam. Vasishta is ultimate in Kshatra Veda, which means Kshatriya, in all this governance and fighting, army and statehood and so on. Kshatra Veda Vidam Sreshtaha. Brahma Veda Vidam api. That's why he also wanted to become Brahma Rishi. Brahma Veda Vidam api. He is not only, ultimate in that. And how did he know he was ultimate in that? He chased him, he chased his 10,000s of soldiers. That's where the story started. So he has Kshatriya Veda also. Vasishta Kshatriya Veda, he also has a Brahma Veda. So that's what he remembers now. Kshatriya Veda Vidam Sreshtaha, Brahma Veda Vidam api, Brahma Putraha, he is Brahma's Manasaputra. Brahma Putraha Vasishtaha, Maam Evam Vadatu. Let him say that I am Brahma Rishi. Hey Devata, Vadatu Devataha. Yadi ayam paramaha kamaha, if this can be done, kritaha, yantu surashabha, you can go. I don't want anything else. Yantu. Surashabhaha yantu. You only make this happen because I realize he is the greatest person. He should only say. If he says I am satisfied, it is correct. See, when we are doing something, we go to an expert and ask him whether what I have done is right or not. Only if he says we are satisfied. So for Vishwamitra, that event, now I will talk about that. I'll now talk about what can we see from Vishwamitra's story after all these other stories, what some of the important things that we can actually take. That is, I think, very important from all this. But before that, a few shlokas. Janaka, what did he say? I want to tell you, these 15 Sargas you should remember in Sarga 19 of Balakandam. Because Dasharatha had so much of reluctance, he never knew who is this Vishwamitra. In other words, this is called Shraddha. I have been talking about it earlier also. If Vishwamitra's son did not have Shraddha and Vishwamitra, Dasharatha did not have Shraddha and Vishwamitra. He had so much reluctance when he asked his son Rama and Lakshmana. So these 15 episodes tells what a great personality he was and why did at all in the first place Dasharatha had an iota of hesitation. We have to connect this to that and understand that. So then that story makes more sense. Why there is all that happening and what do we learn from that? I made a few points at that time when we talked about those Sarga and all that. Tataha prasadito devaihi vasishto japatam varaha sakyam chakara brahmarshihi evam astu iti cha abravit. So when the Devas said, Vasishta, please, you need to, then he says, Sakyam Chakara. Sakyam Chakara, that's the word he has used. He told lovingly, in a very friendly way, he said, Brahma Rishihi evam astu. Let you be the Brahma Rishi. Cha abravit. So Vasishta lovingly, in a very friendly manner, Sakyam Chakara. The Sakyam, the Chakara adjective is Sakyam Chakara. With a lot of love and friendliness and all that. For all that happened, the story started with something. That is the true hallmark of an evolved person. They can't, say, let me settle my score in a different way and all that. This is how Vishwamitra started, by the way. First tapas he did was to destroy Vasishta. Then he found Dig Balam, Kshatra Balam, Tejo Balam, Brahma Balam. Then he understood there is something wrong in my approach. That's what happened at that time. So he said, Brahma Rishihi evam astu iti cha abravit. Devaihi prasaditaha vasishtaha, at the request of the Devas, Chapatam Varaha, the great person, he said that you are Brahma Rishi. So that's how the story Satananda ends with that here. Actually, after this, the contributions of Vishwamitra are phenomenal. That's not in the stories we are not really talking. If you look at, I think, I will have to check, but I think the third mandala of Rigveda is only Gati and Gati's Sishyas. I think, I don't exactly remember which mandala. I think it is the third mandala. I wanted to check it before telling. One mandala full contribution is Vishwamitra and his Sishyas. In Rigveda Samhita, one mandala. That's a big contribution. One single Rishi, Gati and Gati's Sishyas. His contribution, of course, his greatest contribution is Gayatri Mantra. I mean, so the story of why such an effort to create a Vyakti, if you put so much effort to create a Vyakti, the benefit, this is what I said in Ganga Avatarana Mahatmya also. If the effort is phenomenal in creating something, the after effect benefits will be several fold. That's true of this Vyakti also. His contributions in the Vedic lore is very big. So although we have not seen that part, we are seeing the front end of the story only. His real contributions are Mantra Drishtara. I think Tritiya Mandala of Rigveda is he and his Sishyas. That is the kind of contribution of this great Rishi. So this is the feeling of Janaka. I think after he heard all that, there are a couple of slokas I just wanted to. Yesha Rama Muni Sreshta, Yesha Vigrahavan Tapaha. Again, Vigrahavan Tapaha. But then Sandhi, it has become Makara and Sakara, all those have come here. Again, you see here. Vigrahavam Tapaha. Vigrahavan Tapaha. That is a Sandhi Vicheda. Yesha Dharma Paro Nityam Viryaseisha Parayanam. So this is finally it was told. Yesha, this person, hey Rama, Munisreshtaha, Yeshaha, Vigrahavan Tapaha. He is the embodiment of tapas. Ramo Dharma Vigrahan, like that, Tapa Vigrahavan. He is the embodiment of tapas. That much of, he has raised the bar to such a level, he was subjected to so much of tests of rigor, and he survived and came out. That's why he is Vigrahavan Tapaha, Dharma Paraha, Yeshaha Dharma Paraha, Nityam Dharma Paraha, Viryaha Cha Yeshaha Parayanam. That is the glowing tributes made to, Vishwamitra as who he is. To Rama, he says, such a great person you have accompanied and come with him. This is what is being told to Rama. Dasharatha's question is answered here in some ways. All those are in a way you are seeing here. Then Janaka says, Sadasyai prapyacha sadaha shrutaste bahavo gunaha aprameyam tapastubhyam aprameyam chate balam aprameya gunaschaiva nityam te kushikatmaja. Janaka also says, he says, Sadasyaihi prapya Shutaha. Sadaha Shutaha. In this sacrifice, who are all come, we are all who have come. Sadaha are all those who have come for the sacrifice. Sadasya in the court, all of them Shutaha. Te Brahmano Gunaha. We have all heard Satananda told in so much detail about all that. Then Janaka says, Aprameyam Tapaha Tubhyam. I think there is no parallel, no measure. There is no Prama. It's Aprameya. There is no way to measure. It is beyond measure. Aprameye tapaha tubhyam. Aprameye chate, bhalam. I think your strength is also immeasurable. Your Janaka's final sort of comment he made after he heard the story. Aprameye gunaha chaiva. I think your gunas are all also aprameya. Nityam te kushikadmaja. Forever, I think this resides with you, O son of the Kaushika, who is Vishwamitra. So that's how Janaka makes rich tributes to Vishwamitra at the end of all these stories. Then, of course, there are a few shlokas, 4 or 5 shlokas in this, 5 shlokas to be precise, I think, where Janaka says you should take rest and then tomorrow we will meet again. It ends there. So far is Vishwamitra's Mahatmya. So I was thinking about why should we read Vishwamitra? Yeah? But before that, let me quickly, sir, answer a couple of your questions. The first things are many of these texts, we should never ever attempt to very analytically analyze it. We will lose the essence of it. I frequently make this reference. For example, 1,000 years is not 1,000 years for me. I will just forget the 1,000 years. 1,000 years means long enough. This is a kavi, sir. This is a kavya. Kavi must have a license, first of all. That's why he's called a kavi. In kavya, they should be able to, exaggerate a little bit because alankaras are part of kavya and so on. He's Adi Kavi. So it's not only that. It's not only here. You will find in a lot of ancient Indian wisdom, the Vachyartha takes us nowhere. My favorite example, I have told it 100 times, I will tell it the 101th time. When you read Draupadi's Aparana and Mahabharata, right? She is brought to the court and then her sari was removed and they kept on removing. Then I say I am a professor of operations management. Then I calculate what is the capacity, what is the manufacturing facility, is the rate at which you are rolling the sari and the rate at which you are actually removing. I can calculate all those and tell you the balance. where is the capacity balance, is the raw material ordered, is the machine working, there is no current cut, all that we can do. Should never do that. That stories are, it is a particular style Indian wisdom is told. Just like, don't ask in a cartoon TV, how can Tom talk or Jerry talk? Then you have lost the whole story now. Like that. So many of these, the first important thing for us to really learn from ancient Indian wisdom is to switch off our rational mind and get into Gudhartha. We have to synthesize what perhaps they are trying to say. Whereas much of our training is a very Western training where it is all very rational. We have to cut it, look at the meaning and then assemble it. Some of parts become total. This is our training. So I am also been like that. It has taken time for me to step out of it because this style is different. So 1000 I will leave. Kashta I will leave. Shila I will leave. I will ask what is the Lakshyartha. What is that they are trying to communicate here? So therefore, if you say he is not inhaling, I actually understand something else from that. It is not literally inhaling. For all we know, he may be inhaling, may not be inhaling. It is actually less important to me. It is only saying, raise your level of Indriya Nigraha. I mean, it is exaggerating that idea to me. So many of those I read like that. Otherwise, I also have the same problem. I get stuck into the story, into the details, and I miss the Sukshma. So that is one way I will answer. One can still argue that how can you inhale and all that. Because Hatha Yoga, all those are there. There are people today who are also showing. We have moved a little away. There are people who have been buried under the earth. They plant a tree and then after 6 months, I have seen it. They open and then they come out and then they normally all those are saying. And that is one. In Krita Yuga and Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga, there are all these Einstein's theory of relativity people are using to explain why that 1000 years is different from our. All these are happening. But I don't want to get distracted with any of those. I don't want to strain to actually justify any of those. Maybe if we try, we may. My interest is not in that. In some ways, there is something very interesting beneath that. Sir, you had something.
No. Actually, he becomes Brahmarshi purely on the Kripa of Vasishtha. That is what it is said in the other way. But then, Vamadeva, who is a very great Shishya of Vasishtha, he is sent across when all this happens, when he gets defeated and all that. Vamadeva goes to Vishwamitra when he starts his tapas and tells him the manner in which the tapas is to be done. And these parts are covered. And so, 1000 years and all, as you said, those significance are not there, but then Vishwamitra starts the Vidya of Nirahara, how a man can sustain without food, number one. How a man can sustain without breath. These are taught by Vamadeva, and he had the power to invoke Ashwini Devatas, and the Ashwini Devatas get sanctify Vishwamitra to, because that is what the total the Vidhi Karana is supposed to be like that. That is how it is. And it is very beautifully explained in many other textbooks, in Mahakshatriya and in many other this one, where how to do tapas is the particular Vidya. And in this, most of these things are covered, may not be exaggerated or amplified to this extent like that, but it's all very well covered. And the fundamental point in Patanjali Yoga is Dirgha Uchvasave Dirghayushiga Karana. This is one of the fundamental principal sutras of yoga.
Very true. So one can look at from many different such things. Coming to the story of what do we get out of all these Vishwamitra's thing and so on, there are a few things which struck me very strongly. So I wanted to sort of share. When I went through these 15 episodes, Sargas, and I was asking, what is it that I am able to see it? Top of the list that came to me when I went through it and I was thinking about it and so on, is I realized Kama and Krodha are the villains of everybody's life. Vishwamitra is amply demonstrating that. Kama and Krodha are the villains. That is the message there. See, Menaka, Ramba and all, you should leave all of those. You should go back and ask, what is going on here? This Vyakti is going through a situation in which he is overpowered by Kama and Krodha. That is what we are all going through in our life. This is the first message I really struck me. That Kama and Krodha will simply overpower us. By overpowering Kama and Krodha only, there is a hope of self-evolution. This is the first message, which I will take a few things to. So overcoming these, and the second message is overcoming this is a very long drawn process. That's why the 1,000 are only messages for that. Overcoming one's Kama and Krodha is a very long drawn process. It is the true tapas. What is tapas? Tapas is not sitting like this and on anthill on the top of us. All that's shown in the movies and all. They are all giving some message. Tapas is our ability to overpower the Kama and the Krodha. That is what it is. So that is the meaning of tapas for me now. From this episode, this is one meaning of tapas which I am able to actually understand. So several 1,000 years of tapas is a mere indication to the idea of the long run process. It's not the number. The numerical is not the issue. Issue is that it is long drawn. That you need perseverance. That you need to have that ekagrata and steadfastness despite distractions are coming in. That is the message which you find. Third message, which is so powerful, which I found for myself, which is very true in our life, is what we are is not what I think I am. Vishwamitra today exhibited it so nicely. When he said, you are a Rajari Brahmari, he said, I am a Jitendriya. He said, no. This is, we all go through this in our life. That's why I'm saying this. What we are is not a function of what we think. From this, what I understand is what we are is a function of how we react to situations. See, you may tell 1,000 things. You may say that, I am a very clean person. I don't like this. For hours, you will actually talk about how this corruption has actually, ruined our country. For your driving license, you'll go and pay 1,000 rupees. So this is not what you are. That is what you are. Exactly. No, we have to think seriously about this. This is hypocrisy of one level. Many of us, we seem to be all right with this hypocrisy. Leave the hypocrisy part of it. This Vishwamitra story is actually saying that Vishwamitra thought of himself as something, but he was not that. Why are these people sent? The people are sent to remind us of this thing in our life. Right?
We also rationalize it after having...
No, we live with that mental model and then everything works around it. So Vishwamitra saying he has overcome Kama and Krodha is completely wrong. You had sent Menaka and Ramba and all that to actually show that no, here, what you are saying is all a piece of idea. That's not what you are. And please go and review our own mental model. 1,000 things are like this. We think this is what we are, but we are not that. It's only a thought. The action matters, not the thought. That's another message. Vishwamitra's sons not willing to make sacrifice for the sake of his father is again what dharma parayana. You ask, no. They think what they are is not what they are. They are different. Just 2 examples from this episode I took. So this is another message. That what we think I am is not necessarily what I am. What I do when I am confronted with a situation is what I am. Moment our attention turns there, the chances of us reforming is much higher. This is a message I take from Vishwamitra's story. Very, very important message. Many of the details need to be understood very carefully. I already spoke about some of those. First of all, repeated reference to 1,000 years and 10,000 years. I will forget all these numericals. My understanding of that is it is long drawn. Simple. I'll replace all those years and say it is long drawn. Cursing that you'll eat flesh of dog, I already mentioned it. It only indicates that you will become less evolved because that's what you are worthy of. You have demonstrated only that is your worthiness, you be like that. That's how I'll understand that statement. I will not get into this, what is this dog eaters and all that kind of, that is all distracting for me. Became a piece of wood. Arunam, Bhutam and all that is all very figurative. It only means he became a Jitendriya. So many of these sentences in many of these ancient Indian wisdom, we have to understand very, very carefully. So I'll just conclude with a few of cross references and thoughts which came when I talked about this. So no wonder in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 3, when Arjuna asks, Atakkena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha Anichanapi Vashneya Baladivani. All of us confront this every day in our life. Every moment in our life, we confront this shloka. Atakena prayuktoyam. Why did I make this mistake? I didn't want to. Anichanapi Vashneya. I didn't want to do. Why did I do? This is an important question. Anichanapi Vashneya Baladivani Yojita. Victim of situation. I've been pushed into the situation. And what is the answer? Kama yesha krodha yesha rajoguna samudbhava. Directly connects to this episode. Krishna says it is Kama and Krodha which will ruin you. Which moment Kama and Krodha overpowers you, finished. You cannot have. This is exactly what this character called Kaushika went through before he became Vishwamitra. Kama yesha krodha yesha rajoguna samudbhava maha ashanaha. You see the kind of words he is using. Ashana is eating. Maha ashana means it will consume your janmas, not life. Not this life. In this life, you will create so much of karmas which you will eat for another 10 janmas. That's why I use the word Mahashana. Mahashana, Mahapapma, it is an axis of evil. Mahapapma, he uses the word. Kama and Krodha is the axis of evil. Mahapapma, Vidhi Yenam Iha Vairinam. Please understand right now here. They are your prime enemies. Arjuna, please understand that. They are your prime enemies. If you are not able to spend a lifetime of even knowing this, if you know this, then there are several lifetimes of reforming it, as Vishwamitra went through, Kaushika went through. So Krishna said, Kama yesha krodha yesha rajo guna samudbhavaha mahashanaha mahapapma vidhi yenam iha vairinam. Please understand, beware of this. And that is a textbook demonstration of that is 15 Sargas in Balakandam. A textbook demonstration of this shloka in Bhagavad Gita is the 15 Sargas that we went through in Balakandam. What more do you ask for? That is why in 16th chapter, what did he say? Krishna again, in Daivasuri Sampat, what did he say? Trividam narakasyedam dwaram nashanam atmanaha kama krodhas tata lobaha tasmad etat trayam vrajet. How much of caution Krishna has given? He says the door to hell has 3 doors. The path to hell has 3 doors. What are the 3 doors? Kama, Krodha and Lobha. Trividam narakasyedam dwaram. The gate. The gate for Naraka has 3 gates. Kama, Krodha and Lobha. Tasmad etat trayam vrajet. 16th chapter Krishna. These slokas, if you want to remember, read the 15 Sargas of Balakandam. That is the story. That is why that story requires that much of vivid description and all that, because we are all conditioned by this in life. This is what happens in our life at the end of the day. We are succumbing to Kama and Krodha. It is a work in progress. I don't know for how many janmas. We need the divine grace to get out of it as soon as we can. We really need divine grace. That's a prayer. We don't have to pray. I need promotion. I need. This is all people do. I need my daughter get married. All that they keep saying. I think we should only pray these things. Daivanugraha hetukam. That's why it says, Mumukshutvam Manushyattvam, Mahapurusha Samshaya. Viveka Chudamani, at the beginning, Adi Shankaracharya says, he says, Durlabam Trayinetat, Daivanugraha hetukam. These 3 are very rare, but they come out of Daivanugraha. What are they? Mumukshutva, Manushyatva. Manushyatva, Mumukshutva, Mahapurusha Samshaya. Getting a satsanga, being born as a manusha, getting satsanga, and through that getting that mumukshutva, that desire to evolve. Daivanugraha. So that's a prayer we have to make. Get me out of all these. Krishna is so out of infinite compassion, he is discussing in great detail in Bhagavad Gita. People are not looking at Bhagavad Gita. So great much detail he is talking.
This is the package. Buy one, get one.
See,
Our window Kama purti agilla andre Krodha barutte. Krodha purti Kama purti ayitu andre Lobha barutte. If Kama desire is satisfied, you get into Lobha.
Sir, I have put, if you remember long back, I have shown the 6 of them in a connected thing. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. These 6 are a package, actually. Although he has taken only 3 here, one reinforces the other. See, Kama and Krodha, please understand, are 2 sides of the same coin. Because the Kama will only generate Krodha. Because if I don't get anger, if I get Lobha, the greed, Moha, all these are technically different words, but they are all Shadvarga, we say, no? Arishtavarga. Arishtavarga. You know? So, if you look at Vishwamitra's tapa, he lost count of the tapa, so I maintained it somewhere just to get a sense of what is happening to this Vyakti. So, look at what has happened. The first mention of tapas, there was no mention of the number of years. Duration was not mentioned. But the method adopted was also nothing special. I mean, tapas. He did tapas to Rudra. Right? Why? What is the purpose? Look at the purpose. What was the purpose? To obtain weapons, knowledge of Veda, Vedanga, etc., to destroy Vasishta. If you read Balakandam, you will find in 52nd Sarga, you will find it. So he received what was asked for. But then he finds to be a completely defeated person. This is another lesson in life. We go after something. How many of you know we are actually defeated at the end of the day? Sometimes we don't even know we are defeated. Because we have not met the ultimate objective, because we don't know what is the ultimate objective in life.
Like asking chocolates.
So we are defeated. He was defeated. This was the first layer of tapas. Then the second layer of tapas onwards, it was all 1000 years. I could go to the respective sargas and pull it out. Normal means living on fruits and roots, which means ahara pravritti sarvam asit. Tapasya prayatna happy asit. Both are happening. And what was his desire? To become a Brahma Rishi. And what did he end up with? He became a Raja Rishi. The first level 1, you know, in video game, level 1, level 2, level 3, master, intermediate, expert, like that. Then he went 1000 more years, little more intense tapas he did. So his purpose did not get distracted, did not change. Only thing is, he was started evolving. Okay? Brahma confers him Rishi. Then another 1000 years, the methodology of celibacy. Because after Menaka's 10 years, he realized this is distracted me. So he goes to the next level. Of celibacy, 1000 years. And again, his goal was to become a Brahma Rishi. Brahma confers him Maharshi. Then he says, I have now a Jitendriya. Brahma says, you are not a Jitendriya. So another 1000 years without eating and in silence to become a Brahma Rishi. He did not get anything. Did one more 1000 years. He only cursed Ramba in the process. Then another 1000 years. And then he finally became, Vasishta says he is Brahma Rishi. So this shows there is a nice message here. Message is 1 and 1 prime. I will take all others as 1 prime. You know, in set theory, they say A and A prime, no? So 1 and all others other than 1, I found something which we all don't understand, but many of us do in life. So I want to share that also. I thought about it. I made a graphics of what was in my mind. So there is another message in this whole, Vishwamitra episode, which I find which is relevant to us. We go through in life. What happens is we all have notions about oneself. What did happen to Vishwamitra? Kaushika thought he was great. He was a great king. He was a good Kshatriya. Actually, that Sarga, if you read, he was so mannered, so mild-mannered, so respectful to Vasishta. Until Vasishta did not agree to part of with Kamadhenu. So he was a great king. His governance was par excellence, which means he had a notion of himself. He thought he was perfection himself. Correct? And then first time he found something in his life when he met Vasishta and his ashram. What is that? And this is all what we also go through in our life. We think we are good. We think we are endowed with everything. Then we come across someone who is better than us in whatever ways. Dimension can be in our mundane plane, the dimension, but the framework is still holds good. Vishwamitra found he was not good. So he found superiority of knowledge someone else possesses, which he doesn't possess. He realized this man is using something, and he chased away all my, with his Brahmadanda, he chased away my entire army. Again, that army and all is not the issue there. The issue is that he was beyond his understanding of what one can be. His notion of perfection was wrong. There is another layer of perfection which he found. That's all we should take from that. Now, when you become a person, so you are a defeated person now. In our life also it happens. Huh? Even the context can be different. Gravity can be lesser, but this framework can never be wrong. So the point is, when you are a defeated person, what do you do? This is a question now. If you are not evolved enough, the first thing that will happen is Asuya. That's why Asuya is talked in great length in Gita, and every place Asuya is very, very spoken, because that is a normal tendency. You get Asuya. And if you get, Vishwamitra had a mild trace of Asuya. That's why the first set of tapas is to destroy Vasishta. That comes out of Asuya. It doesn't come out of a larger thinking of a greater goal, nothing. It doesn't come out of it. He had only a tinge of it. There was a little dirt which needs to be washed off. In our case, it may be tons of that. Who knows? So, when you are disappointed and defeated, a normal tendency is this attribute called Asuya pops up. Okay? Then what do? You spend your lifetime finding out how to destroy that. This is called Asuya. Let bad thing happen to me. Let my two eyes go. Let my one eye go, but I will make sure your two eyes are destroyed. Let anything happen to me. My goal is to destroy you. In the process, history has I am also history has again shows that you are the one who was destroyed first, not the other. I don't know why people have not understood this logic. In my effort to destroy other, first thing that happened is I destroyed myself. My Vyaktitva Nasha happened. These people have not understood. But in the case of Vishwamitra, moment he went with all his astras, and then he went and then he got defeated, it sparked him immediately. Asuya and all vanished. For people, it can take janmas to come to him. That's what I am saying. That's why I said you spend a lifetime. You spend a lifetime finding out how to destroy the name and fame of the other person somehow. A lot of people are thoughtlessly engaged in these kinds, within family, outside family, neighborhood, working place, all over it happens. What I am saying is not a very, ivory tower idea. They only get defeated. The sooner we get to know we have got Bhagavat Anugraha, getting to know that we are defeated in life sooner and getting that reflection is Anugraha. It is Bhagavat Anugraha. Please understand. The sooner I know that these are all useless for me, my life goal is different, that means Bhagavat Anugraha has poured into me already in bountiful measure. That is the meaning of it. If such a person who is like that, he will bypass that. So it's a recursive cycle. One time you will pass through the cycle and come directly to the third. Which is, we should have deep thought. We should ask an existential question of who am I? Instead of Asuya, if the question comes as who am I, that means Bhagavat Anugraha is in full measure. Which is what happened to Vishwamitra in this story. So Vishwamitra's story can be read for all these. It's, I think, a very, very important story. It shows what trials and tribulations and distractions and karma and krodha can make to an individual is actually the story. Dramatically we can show so many things in a movie and serials, and the story also can be dramatized in many ways. Sukshma is here. I think that is what this message of Vishwamitra is telling us. That is why these 15 Sargas must be read with Bhagavad Gita, those shlokas. You will understand what is Krishna trying to say and how can it play out. You see it here. This is all my reading. All these thoughts got connected for me. I thought I'll just share it with you. With that, I think we will close Vishwamitra's Mahatmya with this. About 10 more Sargas, I think. Sita Swayamvara and all that. Next classes, we will see that. I think we will stop with the Mangala Shloka. Swasti prajabhya paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha go brahmanebhyo shubhamastu nityam Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Kale varshatu parjanyah. Prithvi sasya shalini. Deshoyam kshobarahito. Brahmana santu nirbhayah. Aputra putrinas santu. Putrinas santu pautrinas. Adhana sadhana santu. Jivantu sharadam shatam. Shrinvan Ramayanam bhaktya. Yappadam padame bhava. Sayati brahmanastanam. Brahmana pujyate sada. Harihi Om. Thank you. Most probably I am now here, so every Sunday we will have.
You are happy, but the university will not be happy.
No, I am still going to the university. Don't worry. I am spending enough time there. I have promised. But anyway, I am back here. So I think henceforth, mostly we will, unless I have a travel or something, or I haven't read or something, but we will try to meet every Sunday for 30 days. Thank you. Close it 1 minute. Just give me, stop the recording. Just give me a minute.